What I have here is a basic flow. I'm going to demonstrate you where we're going to go with this. So let's start this flow and see what this flow does. I'm inside Power Automate, and I'm just going to test this flow that I've already built. And let's do a manual test and hit the button and run flow. And this flow is set up to go ahead and pull an order from the sandbox environment, order ID 10778. If I scroll down here, I can see I've got this body down here, all of this data, this response body that came in from this order, which exists out in ether, right? Out in the cloud land. So I was able to pull that in to this HTTP request right here. Now, I could do some more actions with this, but the point of this is to demonstrate to you how easy it is to go ahead and pull information out of ApparelMagic so that you can do something automated with it down the road. So let's get started with that. Dana here from IT Path, and if you are not using any of the APIs that are available in ApparelMagic and you're an ApparelMagic customer, you use them as their ERP system, then I would highly encourage you to start digging into APIs. It is scary at first, but let me tell you, it is super easy and it's super convenient because you can automate some of the manual processes that you might have in your business right now. Some of those pain points where every night I have to figure out how I'm going to allocate and pick orders, or how I'm going to print labels, and how I'm going to do this and that. That stuff can be automated. But let's go step by step. Let's first of all just introduce you to the idea of accessing these APIs inside ApparelMagic. Let's go. We have 3 different kinds of triggers that we can use here. I know there's a lot of options on the screen. Please do not get confused with all the options. Don't let that overwhelm you. Just think about these 3 primary things. 1, do I want it to be scheduled, right? Do I want to schedule this Cloudflow to run at a particular interval every day? 2, do I want it to be a button that I can just hit and run it one at a time when I want it to run? And I would say for most testing purposes, this is a great one to use when you're first getting started. Automated Cloudflow would be, let's say you have Shopify integrated with your ApparelMagic instance, and you want to be able to use a Shopify webhook. That's a setting inside their notification system in Shopify. You want to use a webhook to perform some action when that order comes into ApparelMagic and you want something to automatically happen. Maybe you want it to automatically allocate it and pick the order, or maybe you want it to come out on a printer. There's all sorts of cool things that you can do with automation. But let's just focus on this instant Cloudflow for now. Now I'm going to click this, but I'm actually going to skip it. This will allow you to figure out some things that you might want to do automatically, but I'm not even going to use any of this. I'm going to hit skip because I like starting with a blank slate. So I've got nothing here going on, and now I'm going to build out the flow exactly how I want it to be built out. So I'm going to add a trigger, and let's add that trigger as a manual trigger, just like we were talking about. I want this to run when I run it, and that's it. So let's do manually trigger a flow. And what our objective here is to just introduce you to what some of the steps are going to be very common for you as you build out a Power Automate flow for communicating with ApparelMagic and getting information out of ApparelMagic. So I'm going to build a couple blocks here. As you saw in my example that ran earlier, I had a time and a token block and an HTTP request. So we're going to use the API is going to be an HTTP request that we're actually going to make. So let me jump over to orders and tell you what we're going to try and achieve here. We want to try and pull everything out of 10778 from the sandbox environment. I want to be able to pull that out in data form, in JSON data form, so I can use it. Now, if I just said JSON and you went, oh boys, here's another word I don't know, don't worry about it. It's just going to be a format that we're going to be able to use, that we're going to be able to tie variables to or pull fields from and do things with it down the road. So don't get too concerned with that. Let's just walk through the very easy steps of pulling this order 10778 so that we can see what this data looks like. And if you remember over here, we saw it right here, right? Here's the data. Here's the body response. This is the data that we're hoping to see as we automate this, all right? So what do I need to do in order to do this? I need a couple variables. Let's set two variables here. and I'm just adding an action, which is to initialize a variable. They have to be initialized. You have to perform this step. Let me add another one. Let's add another one. Add another one. Variables and initialize variable right here. And let's rename these so that instead of just showing up as initialized variable, they actually have a name that actually looks legitimate. So I'm just going to click it and click in the title. This is the title block. This isn't actually the name of the variable. This is the name of the block. Okay, so I want to call this block time, and I'm going to call this block token. Okay, that's it. Now let's click on time, and we're going to call this a string. And we're going to call the name of the variable itself is also going to be time. So let's do that. Let's go over here to token, and let's say this is going to be called token as the name, and this is also going to be a string. So we need these two pieces of information. The first one we're going to create automatically every time. The second one is a piece of information we're going to actually get outside of ApparelMagic so that we can use it here. That is a token key that comes only from inside ApparelMagic's platform. It has to come from there. So let's go to the time block. Now, I'm going to show you something, and I don't want your eyes to glaze over. I want you to stay with me and keep this little code snippet. It is going to save you a lot of time and energy down in the future as you build out flows. So I'm going to go over here to the flow I already created, and I'm going to give you this guy right here. I'm going to copy it, and then I'll show you what this actually does. So time, and let's paste it here. Okay, so there's a time piece that needs to be added to every API call for ApparelMagic's API to function correctly. We're basically telling it this time and token are used together to authenticate us to be able to pull information. We've got to have both of these pieces of information. I'm going to give you this right here. I'll give it to you in the description of the video, and so you can use this in your own flow. How did I actually create this as a value here? What I'll do here is let me recreate it actually, so you can see. I'm going to copy this text, get rid of this. Let's say I don't have anything here. What am I going to do? How am I going to, Dana, tell me how am I going to do this? You're going to click on function, and you're going to paste that text here in function, and that's it. Okay. Just trust me, this works. It works awesome. It works every time. Okay, now I'm going to come down here to token. And both of these, by the way, have to be a string. You have to format these as strings. Just trust me on that too. Token here, let's add a token. Now, how do I get that token? Well, how you get the token is you come over here to ApparelMagic and you hit settings and you hit API and you go to your tokens tab. I'm going to actually create the token, and then I'm going to pay. I don't want to show you all the tokens that they have in their sandbox environment, so I'm going to go create a token and save. You have to hit save after you create that token. Save is on the bottom right corner of the screen. So go to tokens, create a new token, and then hit save. So I have my token. It's in my clipboard. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paste it right here in the value. I'm not going to show you what it is. I'm just going to paste it. Okay, now my token is pasted in here. And now I've got my time and token. I have everything I need now to make this call, except I do need to know what the URL is that I'm going to use to call this against, and I'll show you that here in the next step. Let's create a HTTP action. This is going to be the green icon. You're going to see a lot of different, when you search for HTTP, you're going to see a lot of different HTTP things show up here. That's okay, as all you want is this HTTP right here. That's the one. So now I'm clicking on this HTTP request, and I am going to add this right here. This URL is going to be broken down by https:// probably the name of your business .app.apparelmagic.com/API/JSON. Now the last part of this, I'm going to use the orders endpoint. There's different endpoints that you can use. You can use orders, return authorizations. There's a lot of different functionality that is available, a lot of different endpoints that you can call to do automations for your business. So right now, all we're going to do is try and pull order 10778. That's all we want to try and do. So I'm going to use the orders endpoint. Each endpoint has very specific purposes and functions. And the method here, I'm going to select as a get method. For the query now, I'm going to say time and function dynamic content time, because I already created here. It's already dynamic content inside my flow. And then we're going to say token, and then right here we're going to do function, and then we're going to do dynamic content again, token. There we go. And then for the next query, this is going to be available in ApparelMagic's API documentation. To get to ApparelMagic's API documentation, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the question mark in the top right corner. You're going to click on that, and you're going to click View Knowledge Base. And from View Knowledge Base, there is an API documentation in there that tells you all of the endpoints, how the data is structured, and everything. So don't let this concern you too much. I'm just basically demonstrating how we can do an order ID. I know that order ID is the unique value for an order ID, and I'm going to type in 10778, just like that. Now what I'm going to do is just test this flow. So I've got 10778 as my order ID. I'm just going to hit save, and everything should be green. Test and manual. Test, run flow. Done. That's it. So now when I come down here to this HTTP block, I can see that it returned my order. Now to demonstrate this even further, I can do edit, and let's change that order ID. So let's do 10777. Let's see if that exists as an order. Save. Test. Manual. Test. Run flow. Done. And did we get a response? Yes, we did. Look, we got a response. Now, I could do some automatic things with this down in the future. So let's say I want to allocate and pick my orders automatically in the future. What I could do here is in my HTTP request, I can use something else called parameters, and I can find all of the orders where the quantity is greater than 0 and that haven't been picked. And I could find all of them, and I could allocate and pick those orders automatically, run through them one at a time and allocate them and pick them, so that automatic allocation and picking would be done for all my orders. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be easy? This is just, I hope, a little demo that gets you out of the box with trying some automations. My name's Dana, itpath.net. I'm more than happy to help consult with you in any way to help you break out of the box with automations, break down those walls that are keeping your business from automating and moving ahead. If you are not automating, then you're moving backwards. Everybody else is already doing this or looking to do it and moving forward. So if you're not doing this now, then please get started. It's really not as hard as you think it is to start putting automations in place that will positively affect your business. Thank you. Have a great day.